If you like the video, please consider supporting James Corp on Patreon. Hello everyone and welcome to week 5 of our Symbaroum game. We've moved on to a new chapter, I think. It's called The Mark of the Beast. I'm James Corp, or James Chambers, and this is Chambers of Roleplay. And we're going to go around the table, get people to introduce themselves and their characters. And then we'll hand over to Scott, who will lead us through the whatever we're doing. I'm playing Malingo, who is I forget what he is. He's an Indiana Jones style character, but he's not Indiana Jones at all because he's useless, especially in a fight. And he's very wet behind the ears, and he's kind of young, and yeah, that's about it. Young and naive. Philip.
Hi, I'm Philip, and I'm playing Oleg, a little goblin that's mostly used for keeping enemies in place, and he just learned how to speak with the dead. Well, communicate more than speak.
Thank you. J-Wall?
Hi, yep, I am Joe. I'm playing as Revni Orist, who is a Ambrian Templar of the Sun God Prios. And her rolls at hitting with Flower have not been the best so far, but she cannot be knocked down by anyone, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
Danny?
I am playing Sarux. He's a barbarian hunter kind of thing. He seems to have a really dark aura about him. He's quite rude and forceful, I guess. So yeah, that's about it.
Gus?
Yeah, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Deplete is applicable to anyone out there watching. I'm Gus. Today, this morning, this evening, I will be playing Elfgarn, the grizzled outdoorsman slash hunter, who might find himself in fish out of water territory in this chapter coming up, which might involve a bit more RP and social combat rather than being able to rely on his bow. So I'm looking forward to that.
And last but not least, the Games Master himself, Mr. Scott.
Hello. We are continuing on with the Copper Crown, affair. I just like to call it that. But this is going to be continue on with Chapter 2, The Mark of the Beast, where we're going to find our newly established party make their way into the border town of Thistle Hold, where is essentially they will be establishing themselves and hopefully eventually get into some sort of
Trouble?
Either trouble, yes, or group to eventually head out into the forests of Davakar to find their fortune. But, who knows? Things can always change. So there we are. All right. So, anything else, Headmaster?
I'm not a
Before we
Transformer.
roll right into it? Okay.
I'm not a Transformer.
It seems like, I don't know, I just want to make sure every time after I'm done with my introduction, I start, there's hold on.
Oh yeah. Oh, actually, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Okay. So, we...
Oh, hold on.
Are we past the 1 minute marker where you can cuss when this goes over to a YouTube? I just want to make sure. So, but yeah. Okay.
Not yet. Not
yet.
yet.
All right.
Not yet.
So when we last brought our crew and they made it over to the edge of the Titans and they can see, the lands before them, the Ambrian Plateau and the forests of Davakar in the distance, and making their way down the trail You would have spent a few days kind of resituating yourself. Some of the original, group would have split ways. Some heading to Indaros, other through some of the other smaller regional towns. Your goal was essentially to continue with the caravan as it made its way to Thistle Hold. With the caravan leader Argasto. Tales of your exploits and what you've been through, continued around the campfire. The stress of the travel and everything that has occurred seems to have alleviated somewhat. The aspect of the barbarians, the darkness has lifted. The tension and the anger seems to have drifted away as more hopeful aspects. Tales of potential of finding your treasure, finding your fortune, finding whatever it is you're looking for now that the dark lands are behind you. During this kind of time as you're traveling, you would have honed your skills. Like Philip mentioned, his goblin has become more versed in the ways of his mystical aspects, finding new ways to manipulate the forces around him. Other things would have occurred. Let's see. We would have also had the questionable aspect of Revnia. Revnia, you still have that severed hand type necklace, if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
Marogan.
Just kind of like as we're passing through this scene, as you're making your way to Thistle Hold, would you have done anything with that? I know you kind of kept it inside of a burlap sack or something as that, but anything that it's not.
I have not.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I've not touched the hand directly because I feel that's probably not a good idea.
Right. And as far as you can tell, it is obviously you've come to the conclusion it is a mystical item, something that the decision that you made would have been the right choice as far as you're concerned, but it hasn't been talking with you, so to speak, taunting you, whispering to you. It has remained silent since the conclusion of obtaining it from this Malrogan that you've defeated, but you do know that there is someone in Thistle Hold through your training and your contacts who might be able to help you with that, or at least provide you with some information or advice as to what you would do with this thing once you get there, in order to maintain your standing within your order. Now, entirely up to you, but this is something that just has occurred to you. Likewise, you will hear the occasional grumbling of the Ordo Magica initiate, complaining still that his sunstone is still almost just irreversibly corrupted by the touch of your hand, that you should have never have connected with it. But likewise, he has brought up this same person that might be able to assist him also. And he speaks one night around the campfire. He's kind of almost talking to himself, and the name Master Vernum comes up, and that rings a bell because that's the same person through your contacts that might be able to provide some assistance for you. So this something to think about once you get to Thistle Hold. The rest of you, while you're making your way across the plains, anything else the rest of you would be doing or preparing for?
Do I still have what's his name? My prisoner. Yeah, I don't know if it's
Well, this would be up to you. Now, mind you, once the caravan concludes in Thistle Hold and Argasto releases you from the obligation, I mean, those who are part of it. I mean, there were a couple of you that were still part of the refugee aspect, so you're not beholden to them. But once your contract is fulfilled, you really wouldn't necessarily have him as a prisoner anymore unless you decide to turn him over to proper authorities once you get to Thistle Hold.
Well, I did spare his life.
Right.
So I'm thinking if he, and abuse his life also. But I wonder if I still, I intimidate him enough that he still follows me, or he's just, I don't want to report him to any authority. So
Right.
it's up to him if he's enough scared or.
Within the aspect as you're traveling with the caravan, I mean, like I'd mentioned, the air of everyone's disposition has gotten lighter. So you've made it through, and he still, is at your beck and call. He still, jumps whenever you're around him. But even he seems to lighten up slightly. But he is still, he's still someone who.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. It was Keller.
Keller.
Yeah. So I mean, mind you, he's he's a branded thief. He's someone who originally stole this sunstone from from the Order Magica Initiate, and technically he has been working twice as hard as far as Argasto is concerned, but still doing everything you tell him to do. As being under the impression that he's not shackled.
No.
Yeah.
I don't have him shackled. It's more.
Right.
Yeah.
But he seems to feel like once this caravan concludes, actually gets to its destination, that there might be a good chance that he might carry on with his life, and mending his ways and realizing the error that occurred. Now that he's farther away from these, the influence of Mal Rogan and the other thieves that brought him to that.
Yeah.
Did we ever figure out why Mal Rogan wanted the Sunstone?
No, you did not.
I'll probably ask Ravina that then. I'll probably go, do we know why he would want the Sunstone? I mean, you're quite educated, right? I mean, you're educated in the religious side of things. Maybe you would understand why he'd want it. And will he try again? I mean, I can imagine he's not going to be like. I don't imagine that we've actually killed him. I think at some point he'll come back and want that weapon that we've got of him. Maybe we should destroy it. Can we destroy it?
I think it's soulbound now, or.
Are you talking about the Sunstone, or are you talking about the object that Revnia has?
the object that Revnia has, the arm on the chain arm.
Mummified hand.
Yeah, the chain gang.
That is what my goal would be, to go see if we can get it destroyed.
Okay.
All right.
I have a new trick. I could probably speak with him through the hand.
Brilliant. And this will be the only time it will fuck up and suddenly you become obsessed with Mal
I'm a bit
Rogan.
hesitant about
And then we'd
that.
have to kill you. So,
What could possibly go wrong? Come on, guys.
I also have another question. I have been vindicated that I actually killed the monster, whatever? Because people were not that happy when I shoot at the monster.
Well,
they blamed me, but actually I saved them life.
Well, no, I think you triggered the transformation.
it's as you here. I'm going to move you kind of over to the map real quick, just so you can kind of get a general idea. So, as you're making your way from the Titans, and
can you shift click on the map so that we all center on the same?
Right. So as you've made your way through the Titans, and then you're heading north to Thistle Hold, your caravan crew are going to get smaller and smaller as some of the refugees end up going to other aspects of the region. Eventually, getting to Thistle Hold would just be most of the caravan guard itself, some merchants, yourselves, and a couple other. A couple other men and women who are more fortune hunters. They're wanting to get to the to the area of Thistle Hold because they are in the same vein as you, whereas others are wanting to create new lives in other aspects and not within this border town. So and as it disperses, Xerox, people are focused on other things.
Okay.
The thing in the Titans is becoming a far memory.
Okay.
However,
But
I
I
remind
can stay
you.
over there.
I remind you every day, though.
Yeah. Well,
I did save your life.
I mean, I've already added that to the rule book. I know that you don't even have to say that. That's automatic. But yeah, so then go
Sorry,
ahead.
I keep asking questions.
No, this is fine.
Do we get any compensation now that we pass the mountains?
Once it concludes in Thistle Hold, Argosto will be providing you with your payment.
Hey, that's what we want.
So you'll be getting the mini thaler. What was promised to you upon arrival.
I don't remember
the
what was
richest
promised
goblin.
for us.
Oh, that's because I told you in the beginning. You were supposed to be getting about, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 thaler.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So. Yeah. Huh? But so yeah. So moving on then for the other thing. So you kind of pointed out something that could occur as we're going through the transition from the bottom of the Titans to Thistle Hold. Revnia had already stated was essentially keeping, that sack tight and not conducting any sort of contact with it. But you've been confronted by some of your fellow companions regarding it, Revnia. So how would you like to proceed with that?
I just refuse any requests to immune or attempt to.
Okay. So and well, there you go. So
Revnia's seen the risks of undeath before and the dangers, so doesn't want to chance it.
Right. So Oleg, you've been kind of pushed away, and likewise, Xerox and the rest of you, if you've inquired with it, Revnia has stand strong with this and essentially has told you, it's
Right.
will be dealt with her own way.
I'll ask Revenia again about. So why did you think he was after the Sunstone?
Yeah. Okay.
Perhaps to corrupt it.
Corrupt it to do what? I mean, what's his face can't use the stone anymore, can he? That priest bloke.
No, he can.
He can use it. He just he feels he's an order magica purist. This priest, this holy person has used this and atoned herself with this object. Thus, essentially, it's now linked irrevocably to her. She could pick it up at any time and use it. But he can also, but he's just a snob.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
All
the
right.
whole thing. She didn't break it. It's just this is a
Doesn't like other people touching his things.
So
right,
he's,
exactly.
So he's bitching about nothing. I'll just remind him that we're the ones that got it for him. So perhaps he
But
should
if
look
he ain't
after his
happy, he
things.
can give it back to me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll make use of it.
We'll take it back where we found it. How about that? How about that? We'll take it back. You clearly don't want it. Miserable sod.
Okay. So, but yeah, I mean, it's and as he said, kind of as he's spoken to himself as you're traveling, that this master that he spoke of, Revnia will, I can't believe it, and just she better have a damn good excuse for this kind of thing, but anytime you confront him on that, he kind of brushes it off and doesn't really realize that he's mumbling and grumbling to himself out loud, that he's that pissed off and just focused on that singular aspect.
I'm just going to tell him to get a new hobby or something. Maybe take up fishing.
But with that, Revnia, you do know, being bound with it, you are fully aware of what this stone can do. So it is a very powerful object that, regardless of the reason why Mal Rogan would want it, just about anyone would want this thing. I mean, it's not just a heat lamp, that can keep you warm as you're traveling through snow. There's the other aspects that you were familiar with.
Can it cause fires?
Oh, yeah, it could cause fire spirits, but you wouldn't know this because Revnia hasn't shared it with you. So.
Oh, I'm just asking. Can it cause fires?
Oh well, Revnia.
It is a sunstone. I would say the safest assumption is yes, it could cause fires.
So does that mean you could burn down the entire thing of Dovercar? Yeah.
I mean, it's unlikely to burn down all of Davakar, but
Oh, have you not heard of those fires in California? Have you not heard of those?
I think
not familiar with that.
I should probably learn a ritual of rain or something like that.
Well,
Just in
what?
case.
We haven't got it. I mean, from what I understand, is that like that forest is full of all sorts of horrors. So if you burn it down, those horrors need to go somewhere, and you'll see them.
It's also full of lots of treasure, and if you burn it down, you will burn the treasure.
Oh yeah, shit.
And,
Yeah,
and
good
also
idea.
holy sites.
Oh yeah,
And
shit. You
bunch
don't want
of-
to do that.
And bunch of nasty elves.
And it's 1,000 square kilometers. It might take a bit of time,
That's
or
all right.
more,
Just
so.
start a tree. One
Right.
tree, and it will spread. Make sure the wind's going in the right direction.
Okay. Yep. Sorry. Go ahead.
If elves attack him because of that, we won't help.
No. We now know who the pyro is within the group, so just keep an eye on him.
Who's that then? I'm
You-
just-
you know what children are like with matches. You have to be careful.
I'm just spitballing here. So I wouldn't set fire to anything. Maybe some firewood to keep me warm. And
Does Maligno know how to start a fire?
yes,
Okay. So
I'll get out my flint and steel and go like this, and I'll like try and make a spark and probably fail.
Set your boot on fire.
Or I'll set my shoelaces on fire. Shit.
Okay. So several days go by. I mean, it's a few hundred kilometers from.
Can I get some new shoelaces?
The base of the Titan shoelaces.
Yeah.
These boots. Do you want some new Nikes? Is that what you're going to buy in Thistle Hold?
Boots have shoelaces? I don't know what country you live in that don't have shoelaces.
They're not selling Doc Martens at Thistle Hold. I mean,
What? Why not?
Okay. So we're padding the time now. So
You can get a nice pair of Shaman Daves though.
I assume that boots would have some boots would still have shoelaces, right? Or is that like a modern invention?
I don't know. I mean, most of the fantasy games, the boots seem to be laceless. Unless it's one of those, Greek games where they're not wearing boots, but they're wearing
Sandals.
Sandals with laces. Yes.
Do you think they wear their socks as well? Do you reckon they wear sandals and socks?
That's probably how I vary.
I have no doubt Maligno does.
I'm just imagining an all Greek mythology game with sandals, but they're all wearing like black socks.
White socks? It's got to be white
No,
socks.
Woven socks.
Well, yeah, woolen socks. Like the wintry ones. It's Christmas time. They got little swirls and icons. And, oh boy. Okay, we've insulted enough people that we should move on. So. Several days pass as you make your way, over the flatlands and down the pathways to Thistle Hold, and it's late in the day. And as you're approaching, you get close to the outer gates of Thistle Hold, and are. Okay. Moving on to some imagery. Okay, you hear the shouts of the caravan riders as you get closer. Argosto stops the caravan and he pulls everyone together, and he gives each one of you a copper signet ring, and explains to you that this is your permission to move within and out of the gates of Thistle Hold. Without these rings, you will not be allowed in. You would need to repurchase entry into there. And he also explains that this kind of, there's different levels of access that these rings provide within the city. This is the base level. But obviously, you sorry lot don't need a gold signet ring, nor would you be able to afford one anytime soon. But you never know. You guys just might survive the forests of Davakar. And you hear laughter coming from the rest of the guard as he says that to each one of you. And
who laughs at us?
He,
who laughs at us?
Mhm.
Sorry, who laughs at us?
Oh no, they will at everybody, not just you, but essentially the group, the remaining group that's there along with the refugees. But so the caravan guards, I've lost track who they were, but I'm sure you know who you were. You're each going to get 100 thaler apiece. So go ahead and mark that on your character sheet.
Does that mean we're rich?
No.
For goblins, yes.
This sounds like a lot of money, though.
I mean, it's
not a small sum.
It's a small sum, but I mean, you this is for traveling to and from. I mean, granted, there was by signing on to the crew, anyone who's died or passed away, your body is insured, so he's on his way to collect anyone who has been killed during this time. Likewise, you've done it.
$100.
100 thaler, yes.
Damn. Okay.
Yep.
It's enough to buy my Templar full plate.
No, this has been, it's been funded, not just by getting more of them over there, but I mean, this is still a merchant caravan. Mm-hmm.
Can I call on a trait I have?
Sure, go ahead.
I've got contacts.
Okay.
And basically, if I roll against persuasive, I can call to mind a contact. I'm thinking like my uncle Vesper lives here, and he runs a tavern, an inn that he might be able to get us some decent rooms for the night, at least, and a decent meal for for being finally off the roads, and some soft beds, so we can all have a good night's sleep. Is that something I can do?
By all means, I don't see why not.
And it's using what trait? It's using persuasive. Okay, what's my persuasive? Oh, okay, 50-50.
And considering your background, in fact, considering your background, I'll give you your archetype, and I'll give you a bonus to that too. So go ahead and get a +1 to your roll.
Okay, I'm now confused.
Mm-hmm. Well,
if I put the
bonus to your roll,
if I put this as +1, is that gonna make it easier or harder in the input value?
That would make it harder.
Harder. So
I want to put a -1 in. Yes.
Yes. Because you need to roll low. So
yeah.
I rolled an 8. Oh no, that was wrong because it would have been a 10 because I needed a 10, so it is going to be a plus. So yeah, so actually I succeeded by well, it would have been 11, but I rolled an 8, so I succeeded.
Okay. I mean, all you needed to do was succeed. So yes, you are aware that as far as you know, that's your uncle Vesper, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
So I just made up the name. Vesper just popped in my head.
So are you going to have an Aunt Blofeld here too, or
what?
Sorry, sorry, Vesper.
What a terrible joke.
Anyway,
It's a bike, as well. You know that, don't you? It's a moped.
Scooter in. That's where we're going for the night.
That's what it's called.
Vespa. Vespa is a scooter. Vesper is one of James Bond's love interests, I think. So.
All right, you might be right.
Yeah,
you might be right.
But which is fine, Uncle Vesper. So the caravan has stopped. You're provided with your gold. I'm sorry, your copper signet rings. He's paid you well. You each have a jingling bag of thaler. And the only thing that remains is to make your way into the town of Thistle Hold. So as you see, the town that's before you is imposing. This is a 30-foot high palisade. Heavy birch logs for hundreds of yards surrounding the city you're walking by is completely cleared of growth. Those of you familiar with this is due to the occasional raids from the elves prior, trying to keep it as clear as possible to, if anything occurs from the elves of the forest, they can see it coming. So as you make your way through the gates, those of you who are not from here, the first thing that hits you is the city itself seems clean. I mean, beyond anything that you can imagine. I mean, the streets have almost little or no litter on there. The occasional bit of glum from melting snow or the rains overhead, and a fog a fog and a gloom carries over it depending on the weather. But the streets themselves are clean. The buildings are new, and that's because the city is not even a decade old. Okay, baby, have fun. The streets are wide. As you get through the gates, this is another aspect to due to the original raids of the elves was, they would send flaming arrows and other debris, and if these buildings caught fire, that the fire would start quickly. So they've alleviated that by trying to widen the streets and the space between some of the buildings, the major buildings within the city itself. So you head into the city, and you have a general idea of where your uncle's tavern is, but you're not really sure exactly where it's at. So you may need to stop and ask somebody.
That's fine. I'll ask. I think it's called the Grey Goose.
Okay.
I'll just stick.
Where did I get that from? Where did the Grey Goose come from?
Vodka?
Vodka.
Oh, okay.
I'm instantly transported to a really bad scene from The Usual Suspects, that there's a little mini Vespa scooter on James's desk and an empty bottle of Grey Goose right next to it.
Because otherwise that would be called. Otherwise it would have been called wherever that is.
What street is it on, James? What's that called? Okay, so it's your Uncle Vesper's Grey Goose Tavern on Sambuca Lane.
Yeah. Pringles Avenue.
and your uncle has a wide head with a giant mustache, right? Awesome. All right. All right. You're going to get a strongly worded letter from the authors of Symbaroum for ruining their world, James. So. Anyways, moving on.
How have I ruined their world?
Proving. That's what it is. Adding flavour. I think it was salt and vinegar.
Salt and vinegar.
I want a bag of Davacar puffs. All right. So, okay. So, let's see. Do I have you on the streets? Yes. So you make your way through the gates, and the streets are crowded. It's midday. Even within the streets, there's kind of a gloom that just kind of hangs over the fogs of this city, and everyone just seems to be moving about in a busy sort of a way. If do you want to stop any one of them and see if you can ask for directions? Or
Yeah, I'll stop and ask. I'll ask anyone. I'm not bothered. I'll ask. I'll just ask. Excuse me, madam. No, sir. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter, madam. Excuse me, madam. I'm looking for the Grey Goose Inn on Pringles Avenue.
Right. Okay.
I'll just say the
So-
Grey Goose. I don't know where it is. I don't know. I'm not going to call it Pringle Avenue because that will ruin your game.
No, it's fine. No, it's there's streets on here, so we'll give it an actual street. But so yeah, she kind of looks at you oddly, and she sees your other companions kind of gather around you as you ask your question, and she kind of pauses for a moment. She says, I'm not too sure, but the name might ring a bell. It could be on the northern section, closer to the closer to the beacon. And then she points off to the distance where you see far off near the northern aspect of town, this giant beacon just rising high above, higher than everything in the city, light with this huge flames coming off of it. You know this beacon to be there for other people who are traveling out of the forests of Davakar to try to find their way back. This lights their way back to Thistle Hold. It's not just a symbol of hope, but it's also a symbol of strength within this city. That if you ever need to find your way out from the forest, just look for the beacon. Is the rumor how it goes? So
You know that.
So-
that this picture is the actual art I used on the overlay, right?
that's fine. They don't have a lot. They only have like two or three pictures of the beacon itself, so I have to use one of them. But yeah,
Yeah, that's right. No, I didn't use it. I cut it off about up here. So it's only
okay.
like it's only got a part. I didn't realise that was a beacon. I just thought it was a big chimney.
No. You can read some of the lore of this. It's not cut off.
No, because I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to be like going, I know what we need to do.
Within the book itself, there's a giant page, that's about 15 by 15 that says Game Masters Only. You can read up to that point. It's fine, but it's okay. So yeah, there's a giant chimney resting on top of this roof in the distance that just has flames shooting out of it. But anyways, it's a giant tower. It's the symbol of Thistle Hold. So you get your directions and you head off down the streets to the crowds. So anyone before we head off towards James's uncle's tavern, is there anything else that the rest of you are doing? Are you just kind of following along his lead? Is there anyone else has the contacts trait that they want to try here to see if they know anyone within the city of Thistle Hold? No? Okay.
All Elfgarn is going to say to the rest of the party is to take care and watch your purses.
In
What?
sheeps.
Look, my uncle's honest.
I meant on the streets.
Oh, okay.
But thank
Okay.
you for letting us know your uncle is honest.
Okay. So you're making your way through the crowds of the streets and heading towards the Vesper Inn. When you see a bit of the crowd in front of you kind of part a bit, and you hear some shouts, and these shouts are getting louder. It's shouts of grown men, and you can kind of see people bumping out of their way, kind of maneuvering. And as the set of crowd of people kind of part right in front of you, you see that there is a girl, a small girl, maybe be 10 to 11 years old, come running through with this panic look on her face, and she looks back, and as she looks forward, she just kind of collides with the large knees of Elfgarn as she kind of falls back on the ground and looks up at you, and she makes eye contact with Elfgarn, and you hear this panic yet sweet voice go, don't let the witch hunter take me. Please don't let the witch hunter take me. And she kind of, knees her, kind of crawls around and kind of almost holds herself, her hands kind of on your leg, shaking. And you hear shouts of men coming from the crowd that haven't come into view yet.
I'll look down at this young girl, just get an idea of description. What's she wearing?
Okay. She is she's wearing kind of ragged leathers and furs. She doesn't really look homeless, but she seems she doesn't seem like she's of any sort of, doesn't come from any well-to-do, so to speak. She's a bit dirty, beraggled. Her hair is in knots, but she's got tears streaming down her face and just this wide-eye look of fear. But she's by no means, she's not of the base poor. She doesn't look like she belongs in the outer towns of Thistle Hold. It's not like she's come from what's the area called? I am so sorry. But there's kind of like a more of a refugee town on the outskirts of Thistle Hold. I will remember the name shortly, but she looks like she's from the city proper. She doesn't look like that she's from the outer aspects. She doesn't have any sort of signet ring or anything on her fingers. But that's about all you can ascertain in this kind of short period of time. When once again, more of the crowd of people part, and you feel her kind of tighten her kind of grip on your leg as she kind of pulls herself up and looks, and she immediately kind of positions herself behind you, and you see a group of about a half dozen men stop right in front of you as the crowd parts ways, and you hear one of them say, "There she is. There's the abomination. There's the Flayer." And then as soon as the word Flayer comes out of this man's mouth, you see the crowd who has parted suddenly stop in their tracks, and they look at you, look at the girl, and they kind of look at these men, and they all have this look of shock and shock and also surprise and recognition on their face.
What's the
Does
Flayer?
the term Flayer mean anything to any of us?
No.
Yeah,
Yes. Go ahead, Oleg.
Can I use my witch sight on her?
On her? Yes.
Okay.
While Ola is doing that, Elfgarn will address the group of men.
Okay.
And I say, what seems to be the problem, gentlemen, and why does it take 6 of you to chase a young girl?
Okay.
I'll snort at that. I'll go.
Okay. One of them steps forward, and he flips his black cloak over his shoulder, and he says to you, well, in the name of the Black Cloak, Balmello, give us that heretic girl behind you, or be branded heretics yourself. And as that voice echoes, you hear some of the crowd of the people behind them. You not really whispers, but just kind of almost just saying out loud. They're like, "Could it be? Could it really be her? Is that the one that skinned all those people? She looks so normal." And then you hear another woman cry, next to this. She's like, "Well, that's what's so horrid with corruption sickness. It can hide within any one of us." And you see the crowd kind of tighten itself around these group of men. And then I'm going to move you guys onto this map now.
I should roll vigilant against discreet.
Okay.
Before you start this fight, before this fight starts, if it's going to be a fight, Scott, let's take a break. Yeah.
Let me get to Oleg's which site real quick, and then yes, that'll be a great time for a break.
What's her discreet?
We're just gonna say it's gonna give you a plus 5, so a bonus of 5 to your roll.
Elfgar will address the man who spoke and say, "Who in Prios's name is Bob the Black Cloak, or whatever name you just said?
I
Is that
succeeded.
supposed to mean something to me?"
So we'll Oleg first. Oleg, you see her shadow is a light blue, kind of mixed with tones of other tones of ocean blues, foam white. You don't see any corruption in her though.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll just tell the others she's not that corrupted.
And
Not
then
corrupted at all.
And then Elfgarn, as you say that, all of them brandish their swords and say, "This is your final warning," and that's where we can take a break if you like.
All right, we'll be back in 10 minutes, so don't touch that dial. Don't forget, if you enjoy this at all, to like and subscribe.